Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today, 29th of June, 2021. We are looking back to think about 21 years of turning conscience into action through the lenses of the Earth Charter. Thank you for everybody who was joining us today from YouTube. I would like to start by expressing my appreciation to our friends, affiliates, young leaders, partner, council members, Earth Charter youth coordinators, former and current, and young leaders. And I'm going to give the floor to Akpezi, who is going to be moderating our session today. Thank you, Akpezi. You can open your mic.
Hello, everyone. Happy Earth Charters Day. Yes, it's 29th day of June, 2021. Again, the Earth Charter, also called the People's Charter, has had 21 years of turning conscience into action. Can you believe that? 21 years of engagements with global citizens and critical stakeholders to join together to bring forth a sustainable global society founded on respect for nature, universal human rights, economic justice, and a culture of peace. The topic we're going to be looking at today is towards a planetary ethic through intergenerational and cross-cultural collaboration. Just a little introduction before I introduce our experts, young people today. You see, 21 years ago, the Earth Charter was launched. And nearly 10 years before that, it was part of the agenda of the Rio preparatory process. How was the world in those days? Is it much different from what we have now? What were we doing? What were our aspirations? From the Earth Charter perspective, this effort happened because a number of visionary leaders joined forces. And despite the fact that they came from different contexts and cultures, different cultures, they had a shared vision on the importance of bringing ethics to the table, the importance of crafting a planetary ethic that could guide humanity towards a more just, sustainable, and peaceful world. And to do this through a process that was not limited to an intergovernmental negotiation, a process that involved the voices of grassroots, the civil society, the young people. That was why the Earth Charter became known as the People's Charter. To them, taking action was important, but the ethics that drives the action was even more critical in arriving at a sustainable and just world. Now it is time to find new leaders of today and empower them to take this vision, this torch, and move forward. And so today, I'm happy to say that we're going to be having a conversation among past and current Earth Charter young leaders to share reflections on their experiences and their thoughts on moving forward through a more intercultural and intergenerational responsible way. And who are these speakers? First of all, let me introduce Dumisani Nyoni from Zimbabwe. He is an Earth Charter youth coordinator, and he has been one since 2001. He is a social entrepreneur and leader in business and social development. Do you just want to say hi? Just wave your hands, Dumisani. Yeah, welcome. Yes, and then we have Yana Hiresi Kangas. Now, she is another one that has worked with the Earth Charter for a number of years, I think since around 2010. And right now, she's not only an Earth Charter Youth Coordinator, but she is the Executive Director, United Nations Women, Finland. Yana, can I see your hands? Yeah, thank you. Yes, and then we have Phil Eke Okocha. He is another young Earth Charter leader from Nigeria. And Phil is the Content and Training Officer of the Local Pathways Fellowship at the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network Youth Initiative. He's also a research fellow at Rondin Cittadella della Pace, where he works with young people from conflict and post-conflict countries to bring about ways of sustainable conflict transformation. Phil? Yeah, thank you, you're there. Yes, and lastly, we are going to be hearing from Catharina Brown from Netherlands. I mean, she's based in Netherlands and Germany. And she is another Earth Charter leader, young person. She's a project manager and a research fellow on eco-psychology. And she's also an energetic healing practitioner. So we're going to be hearing from these amazing men and women shortly. Let me quickly go to my first question. Yes. Let me start with Catharina. Catharina, what are the shared values espoused in the Earth Charter? And how have they influenced your lifestyle and choices?
Well, first of all, I think I need to start on a very personal basis because the Earth Charter came into my life after I've had a physical accident by myself, and I realized that being a human being on this planet, you have to sustain your own well-being. And while sustaining your own well-being, you're actually then able to step out of your comfort zone to reach out to others to help to sustain more life. So coming across the Earth Charter, especially also the Earth Charter assessment possibilities, has helped me tremendously in transforming my life from not knowing which values actually match my reality to taking those values and seeing, okay, how does social justice impact me in where I am right now? What do I need to change? What can I do in this very moment for myself, but also for the community that I'm with? And also along with that, I think it offers a really, really great tool to reach out to the organizations, the local places that you are in, because you can really, you look at them and you are able to understand what is there and what might still be missing in terms of ecological actions. And what I'm really referring to is, I don't know if all of you know this, but the Earth Charter as principles and values also has this assessment tool, which you can use to really see, okay, what do we need to change to really become ecological sustainable? And then on the other side, what is actually relevant to us at this very moment? And I think if we equalize both of this, we create a place of well-being and also open up towards a bigger network. And yeah, I think here comes the networking part as well, being able to work with the like-minded people, with people who are thriving, who've been doing this work for years of experience, and connecting with that is maybe even the biggest value of the Earth Charter, because you really know that you have someone who's holding you back in working this. And even if you're working with teams and sometimes things get tough, you don't know how to move forward, and you come back to also the meetings, the young leader meetings, you really realize, okay, there is a movement, there's a power. And yeah, together we're able to create this change, starting person by person and then expanding on the bigger system. Yes.
Wow, thank you so much, Catharina. Yes, let me ask Dumi Sani. because he has also been with the Earth Charter movement for quite a while. How would you say the values, Earth Charter values, have influenced you in your lifestyle and choices?
Thank you, Agnesi. If you can hear me, just show me a thumbs up. Just perfect, great. So my name is Dumisani. I'm in Zimbabwe, and I connected with the Earth Charter when I was 17 or 18 years old, as I was exploring what I wanted to do with my life post high school, and the meaning of the word charter really, as I reflect on that, was very practical. It's a charter, it's a map, and so most of my life since that age has been mapped around the idea of what the Earth Charter really holds at its core, which is about our common destiny as people on this planet and our common destiny as people in any community or in any neighborhood. And so the impact and the influence it has had since I was a young person, and I think this is the value of the Earth Charter being something that we share with younger generations, is that it shapes both your worldview and your outlook, and the choices that you begin to make around your career, your education, family, your community, your context, business. You have a reflective tool that says, is this the path that I want my life to go in? And is this the path that I want my community to go in? So if I'm going to go into business, what choices do I make that align with my values and that also are good for me, but are also good for my neighbor or are good for my community? So the impact for me of the Earth Charter has been really in that it has helped to guide some very formative decisions around my life, but also some very practical day-to-day decisions about how I choose to live my life, whether it's about transportation or recycling or food choices, or how to be at peace with myself and with those around me. So I think it's a very personal journey around the impact of the Earth Charter, and also it has helped me as I have sought to be a person who creates positive impact in the world around me.
Yeah, oh, thank you so much, Dumisani. You know, you really cannot give what you don't have. So it has to start with a personal journey, and then you can now take it out. Thank you so much. Yes, I would like to I would like to engage with you on this other issue. How do you see the relevance and impact of the Earth Charter movement since it was launched 21 years ago? Let's start with that, and I can now follow up based on your answers.
Wow,
how do you see? Yeah,
thank you so much for the question. And whenever I hear 21 years, I'm like, where was I 21 years ago? I was barely 3 years old. So where do I start from? Yeah, but having, you know, with Karina as well, I came across the Earth Charter, and with what Dumi said, when people ask me, I would always say it's a personal journey. It's something you live for yourself, and it's something you get to see for yourself. So, you know, with the Earth Charter, it's very clear from the first principle, from the first preamble, what the Earth Charter is all about: respect and care for community of life. From there, it's concrete what the Earth Charter is all about. From the 1992, from Rio, from the processes, Earth Charter is like, it's a perfect example of a bottom-top approach, where engagements were done from all different angles and very highly inclusive. So for me, the Earth Charter, and one thing about the Earth Charter is the Earth Charter brings this important element that has been missing in the sustainable development discourse, which is the topic of ethics and spirituality. This has been missing all along, and the Earth Charter embodies this and brought this into the discourse. Before, it was more about, you know, economy, development, tech, but now the Earth Charter gives us another way to look at sustainable development. So for me, it's one of the standout key elements of the Earth Charter. And as I mentioned earlier, from the first, you understand what it's all about. And, you know, the principles, you know, embody about being, you know, peace, protection, human rights, and these are the core values of the Earth Charter. So, you know, being a 3-year-old when this whole process started, I am glad to be part of this amazing journey, to be able to incorporate this in my work. And I would always say my journey with the Earth Charter is like destiny, because my work, the mission of my organization is to see the person in your enemy, the mutual respect for each and everyone. And you know, Earth Charter embodies this in all its aspects, because when we talk about ethics, it's not just about, you know, the community ethics, but also respect for oneself. When we respect ourselves, we respect those around us, and this is how it goes. So for me, it's amazing. It's an amazing journey, and I'm glad to be part of it.
Thank you, Phil. Yes, I think on that same respect, I would like to hear from Yana. What role has the Earth Charter played in your engagement in processes of social transformation? Because I know you work a lot in that area. Yeah.
Thank you for your question. I think at the most important, probably the most important aspect is to be able to understand that everything is interconnected, and this is something that wasn't that clear for me when I studied social sciences, and I was very much focused on people's participation and their kind of activism and their role in the society, but I didn't understand all the other aspects of the, let's say, sustainable development. And while I've been introduced to the Earth Charter during those 3 years at the Earth Charter International Secretariat, I really started to understand the whole community of life. It wasn't only about humans and people, but it was actually much, much more. And I think exactly as it has been mentioned earlier, it has been kind of the map, the roadmap for me to understand that the social transformation concerns much more than only us as humans. And I think now that I'm working with gender issues and women's rights, I still see this very much essential in a way that we can't be only focusing on women's rights because it's affecting, or mainly when we are kind of concerning or focusing on women's rights, we can see how many other things are advancing at the same time. And this is really showing how things are like a web, how interconnected everything is. And for me, it's been really a tool to understand sustainable development as a whole, not only from one perspective. That was my studies and my background as a social sciences. So maybe that's probably the best way for me to describing the role of the Earth Charter in my life and way of functioning as an individual, and how the this very, very highly inspirational document is leading me towards kind of a I don't know, vaster understanding, wider understanding than what I would have without this very meaningful roadmap that I hold in my hands when I read the Earth Charter.
Yes, so thank you so much, Yana. So why do you think it's still relevant? I mean, it's 21 years ago. So why do you think it's that relevant? What makes it unique? What makes it so captivating? Yes, Yana, it's a follow-up question.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Actually, I wanted to answer to that because I think it's very, it's something very quite exciting. When we think about it, it's very timeless. When you read this document, it's almost like it was written yesterday. It's really, really, it still speaks to us today. It's not old in a way. But one other thing that is very meaningful in it is the call for action. It's not only a declaration with something very serious, but it has a spirit that really engages you and pulls you in and makes you act. And I think that's something quite exciting about it. I lost the question already. I forgot what you asked. But anyways, what I think is that it's really relevant. It's not something that was written 21 years ago. Yeah, that's true. But it's still very much, it speaks to us still. It's not somehow bounded to the time when it was written. And I think this is because it was such an participatory process. It is not only about that specific time when it was written, but it goes back generations and generations, and the wisdom and the knowledge that has been really captured into that actual document or the words of that document. And it really carries a bigger spirit in it.
Wow, thank you so much, Yana. Yet so many people are agreeing with you. We have some comments from Peter Cochran, and he is just saying that the Earth Charter is a gift, yes, to humanity. We have that same comment from Victor Matthew, yes, and Dora says the Earth Charter inspires, so please, let's have more questions for our young Earth Charter leaders. Let's have more of your comments. As we just wait for more comments from our participants, let me go back to Katerina. Katerina, from your experience, what is the purpose, the value of intergenerational and cross-cultural collaboration in the Earth Charter movement and in the major movement of social transformation? What's your opinion?
Thank you, first of all, for the question. I actually think this links back really nicely to what Jana also answered. What's the value that still remains? Because actually what I think also over time is that when the Earth Charter was formed, when it was created, we had a few people who saw, okay, there might be a problem with how we are continuing to treat this earth right now, with how we're continuing to treat life. And if we do not change that, we don't know what's going to happen to our own species. So in that sense, it was very much focused on the people. I think right now what happened is, and this is also why the social transformation, it's not only about social, but actually all life on Earth, like the Earth Charter also says, wakes us up to the action to see, okay, these interconnections are here now, they're still real today, and we do need to take action now, because otherwise we might not have the chance anymore. And of course we can say Earth always restores itself no matter what, but is it about letting Earth restore itself, or is it about creating a habitat for everyone and all life at the end that is creating a meaning, that is creating a space for a blooming future for us and for the next generations? So I think to add on to the question before that, but as the role for or the impact, can you repeat the question? You said the second part of the question.
Yes, the question of, from your experience, what is the purpose, the value of intergeneration and cross-cultural collaboration in the EC movement?
So what I see there, and this is why it's so linked together, is that now I'm working as a young leader. So I'm helped in also this year to raise the new leaders, to continue to co-facilitate the courses. And what I see is that there's more and more awareness. We see it in the Fridays for Future movement. Young people realize, okay, we want to change something. We need to go out there. We want to take action now. But they do not have all this knowledge. A lot of the knowledge, a lot of the power is especially also with the older generation. So we need to create an equilibrium where we can share and also accept each other in a form of respect that might not be hierarchical, but it is very much people-based. So person to person, okay, we see each other, we learn from each other. And it is not about competition. It is not about competing to be better than the other. No, this interconnection is created to understand, okay, when the other person advances, I will also advance, because we are interconnected. So by doing so, by helping each other on a social level, we can create that for humanity, but by also taking this action responsibly to treat our planet, to make choices about food decisions, how much water do we use. We also allow to do that on a very simple basis. And I think there where it comes down to being equal, like no one is hierarchically above or below. Like we're all just people at the end playing our role in our life journey. And this also goes obviously for the cross-cultural part, because there's so much knowledge coming from different sides of the world that we cannot even comprehend because we don't see it. We have never experienced I have never experienced how to live in certain circumstances, for example, how to build a windmill by your hands. Let's just pull that as an example. Or how to walk hours and hours to gather water. I have never experienced that, but this is teaching us so much about what people appreciate and do on a daily basis. And I think by sharing this knowledge, and here also the Earth Charter creates this platform of network, by sharing this knowledge, we are able to interconnect and learn from each other for collaboration and not for competition.
Yeah, yes. Thank you. I would really like all our panelists to speak to this because it's so important. But before I continue, I would like to take one question. We have this question that says that that how do we turn inspiration? I mean, not just, yes, the Earth Charter is inspiring. So how do we turn this into action? How do we begin to implement it? So from your experience, Phil, I'd like you to speak to this now. From your experience as a young Earth Charter leader, how do we, yes, granted, it has influenced my life, it has influenced your life. So how do we begin to get it to work into policies, into schools, into action?
All right. Thank you so much for this question, because it made me reflect a little bit on my journey within the Earth Charter, and also to come in from the, what we're talking about today about intergenerational, facilitating intergenerational dialogue. I think when we're intentional about facilitating this process, at the end of the day, we can arrive at sustainable solutions. Given my journey, I've been, as Katrina mentioned, being part of this network, we have this opportunity of connecting not just with other young leaders, but other people within this large family. So we are able to connect and we are able to facilitate this process by working together. So EC on its own, the Earth Charter on its own, also helps as well to facilitate this process, because being part of this community, you have the necessary resources you need to carry out this process. So for me, it's one of the greatest values of being part of this whole setup, being part of this. So when we have these ideas, because one thing I've come to understand being part of the Earth Charter is, we as young people, the ideas are there, but most of the time we just need a platform to carry out these ideas. And being part of this network presents us as young people the platform to do what we want to do, and we have resources to back us up. So this is my... Yes.
Thank you so much, Phil. And I think we also now need a bridge from this platform to the government, to the schools. Dumisani, what's your experience with regards to the actual implementation? Intragenerational, intercultural. What's your own experience? How do we implement the Earth Charter?
Thank you. No, I think that's a very important and pertinent question that's been raised around both the intergenerational and intercultural dimension. But I saw Mike Bracken and Victor Matt on the chat are also raising this question around how do you go from inspiration, from discussion, from ideas to action and implementation. And I think ever since I've been involved with the Earth Charter, this has been the driving question of young people. How do we go from discussion and inspiration and the vibrant discussions that happen around the Earth Charter to doing something? And part of the answer is actually in this conference. I mean, Peter Blaze, I saw him, he's hiding in there somewhere, together with Miriam and others, wrote this book, or edited and put this book together. It's back to front now, but it says the Earth Charter in Action. So this has always been a driving question around the Earth Charter. And this book captures many examples of people around the world who are answering that question in practical terms. And I think it's about 15 years old. It's from Earth Charter +5, this book. But it helps, it demonstrates how the Earth Charter has been carried in different fields by many people over time. But I think that for me, the most meaningful thing is to start where you are. I'm an example of an intergenerational thread in the Earth Charter. So I joined the Earth Charter movement because my mother was in an Earth Charter consultation in the late 90s before the document was drafted. I wanted to learn how to dance to Spanish music. So instead of her buying me a CD, she said, why don't you go and volunteer with the Earth Charter in Costa Rica? And little did I know that I would end up falling in love with this body of work and to transform my life. And I did learn how to speak Spanish and dance salsa, but I learned something about the power of values in the work we do, both professionally and personally. So I think that speaks to the whole concept of what does it mean to promote this concept of intergenerational practice. I think intergenerational starts in our homes. It's one thing to have an intergenerational policy, but my child, who is 9 months, is the next generation of this work, as is her grandmother who brought me into this work. There's nothing more intergenerational than us struggling and fighting to champion these values in our homes. The same with anything intercultural. It begins with us making decisions to transform the way, like I said earlier, we view the world. But I think the question around action is fundamental. When my friend Melanie Ashton and I started the youth initiative, it was meant to be an action network, not a dialogue network. And I think some of those stories are captured in this book, The Earth Charter in Action. And maybe it's time we wrote another version of it, Peter Blaze, if you're here. Maybe it's time to update it on many things that have happened in the last 15 to 21 years. I'll stop there for now. I hope I answered the question.
Yes, thank you so much. And I like the way you said about the power of value. Yes, the power of value. You know, and today we saw it in your life. I mean, we've already seen the intergenerational, your mother and then yourself she transferred it to you and you're now working together, you know, so it is powerful. And Yana, I would still like to stay on that point because it's really very important. How do we bring the power of the value of intergeneration and cross-cultural collaboration in the EC movement? How do we bring it into social transformation? You know, and a lot of our participants here, they really want to know, how do we make it happen? So we see it in the Sustainable Development Goals, we see it in government, we actually see it, you know, on the table everywhere. Yana.
Yes, thank you. Well, I think the value of intergeneration and cross-cultural collaboration is very much embedded in the Earth Charter. It's all over there. It's how everything got started. It got started as a multi-dimensional discussion and all these different aspects of life and people from all over the world participated. And they really brought their voice into it. And it was young people, it was more elderly people, it was cross the societies and you know, the richer people and the not so wealthy people were able to participate as well, as it was so well facilitated, the whole process. And that's why the document itself really, really has the, let me see, there is some type of a, oh, because I'm connected with my phone and my headset, and then I have my camera on my laptop, so this got a bit confused. So anyways, what I was saying about the kind of the cross-cultural collaboration, it's all in there. But what I wanted to mention, kind of echoing what Phil was saying, was that when I was the Earthshatter Youth Coordinator for 3 years in Costa Rica, it was really, really extremely inspiring, but not only inspiring, but also very empowering for me to see how young people all over the world took the leadership to make a change in their own communities. And this was, of course, done with the support of other generations as well. And that was very essential in many cases. We had these online courses on youth leadership, on the Earthshatter, valuing or kind of evaluating our own values, and trying to find ways of being led by our values that are coming from the Earthshatter when we are leaders. And these young people were asked to design a project in their own communities that will make a change in the spirit of the Earthshatter. And it was really, really extremely beautiful to hear all these different type of project plans from all over the world and to see those happening. And this again comes to what Dumi was saying about the Earthshatter in Action Book, or what Phil was saying about this network that actually gives you all the connections, great examples, all the ideas, how to make the Earthshatter as a living document, how to actually implement it in your own life. So one thing you can do is just to go to the website and see all those stories from all over the world and get inspired. And then you really want to do something yourself as well. But one thing about the intergenerational aspect, I really, at least in my own life, I feel so grateful for everyone who has trusted in me when I was young. And I think that was a great kind of soil to flourish when you get trust from older people and know that they will be there supporting you no matter what. They will be there when you have troubles. That's how you actually grow into something in the future. But just to say about, we always keep thinking, well, not all of us, but I mean, there is this type of a discourse that says young people are leaders of tomorrow. But actually, in many, many cases, we should look into the young people now, because they come up with such a great ideas. If we think of like 20 years back, to 25 years back, like 1994, when I told my family, I won't eat any meat anymore. I want to be a vegetarian. My family was in shock. They were like, no way, you have to eat meat. There's no life without meat. Like, you can't just be vegetarian. And nowadays, it's almost a norm, at least in Finland. So this is how we as young, when we were, I'm not young anymore in such a way, but when you kind of give the floor to young people to try out things and show different ways of living. And then eventually the change will happen when we just trust in them and give them, the support what they need. And also, of course, there is so much to learn from the elderly people. So it's benefiting everyone when we have dialogue, not only between the cultures, but also between the generations. Sorry for taking so much time. I know we don't have too much time.
No, thank you so much, Yana. Yeah, you have actually demonstrated that the Earth Charter is not just inspiring, it is also empowering. And you have carried it into, the work you do today. I was surprised, I was invited for a valedictory lecture by one of the professors of our foremost universities in my country. Her name is Professor Margaret Ukorodudu Fubara. So she was 70 and they were having her lecture. And as I listened to her lecture, she talked about the Earth Charter document. And she talked about how in the Faculty of Law at the University of Ife, she ensures that all her students must start with the Charter because of what it stands for. So a lot is happening, and maybe that's why some of the contributions we've had suggesting that we need an update to Peter Cochrane's book on the Earth Charter. Let's capture more of these actions. A lot is happening in government, in schools, and everywhere. And again, thank you also for the comments you made about the youth. One of our traditional, our founding fathers in my country, Nnamdi Azikiwe, he's called, he said, give me my youth back and I will pay any amount for it. So a lot can be done by our young leaders. They're not leaders of tomorrow. A lot can be done, by them in this Earth Charter movement. And that's why we're so excited to hear from all of you today. Katerina, I'm going to come back to you. And I need you to share, with us. There's some questions. Did you see the questions, that had somebody wanted you to expatiate on some of the points you raised? Before I could read it, it just went off my screen. But did you see it? Did you see a question that was directed to you, Katerina?
I'm trying to find them.
Okay.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yes, if you did not see it, I would like.
Yes.
You've seen it?
Yeah.
Okay, please speak to it. Yes.
I think it's from Ariana. So she was asking, right now there are so many organizations around the world working with similar goals like sustainability, social justice, etc. How can we, from the Earth Charter perspective, help these organizations come together and work together and not make it a competition of which organization is doing more and has more support, etc.? I think this was the one you were referring to. Yes, yeah. So I think the biggest value of this charter is indeed the people. And it's the young people, it's the old people, it's people who are new to the charter, who bring in new perspectives, but also the people who have been working with this Earth Charter, putting it into action and know how to maneuver it in the, let's say, real world. Also with their organizations and their communities and their backgrounds. So like you said, so I thought this was really inspiring that this lawyer hands out the charter to all the students. This will mean, imagine there are 10 students sitting in the study room. Every one of them will go into different organizations where they will take on cases. If they go into the different organizations and take on cases, or they even found their own, maybe even ethically, social justice related jurisdiction place, they will bring these values with them. So once they step, maybe not all of them, but maybe 50%. And if these 50% who really believe in what this Earth Charter stands for, share this with the people they're working with, at least these organizations they are involved with will also take on this view and these values. And maybe, because I also know that nowadays a lot of brands, a lot of organizations, a lot of businesses, new startups, they do have their own values, their own core values, their mission, their vision. If there is the possibility that you can merge the Earth Charter with these values and interconnect them, you carry this towards the people that are within the organizations. So this is one way I think that you can really create a more visionary perspective, a more Earth Charter centered perspective in the communities that you are in, but also in this network and exchange there. But I also think a really big part is to actually share what each and everyone is doing. And I actually think this is still not, maybe I'm not really aware of it, but I do not know if there is already such a connection. Because if I would read out the names of the participants in this call now, I would not be able to say, okay, where are they coming from? What is maybe the support that they need right now? Because maybe someone in this room here right now can offer the support and there can be an exchange, but we don't know. So I think it's also about becoming vulnerable, putting yourself out there, putting your needs out there, and really addressing what you are doing to make this common vision work, and what you're doing to reach these goals, and what is also missing. Not only what you're doing, but also like how can you collaborate? What are you looking for?
Yes. Oh, thank you so much, Katerina.
I also see Phil. Maybe.
Yes. No, I would get Phil. You can read some of the comments directed to you. But before that, I would just like to say that the Earth Charter office in Costa Rica, and they have done the secretariat. They have prepared a lot of connections between the Earth Charter and the SDGs, Earth Charter and business. So many, and they have developed several courses. So if you need more information, if you need more education, in these areas, if you're a teacher or a government person or, a young person that wants to see how you can contribute to a more peaceful world, the best place to start is with the Earth Charter courses. They have brilliant courses, and I had to attend some, to be able to know how to apply it, to my work. They are very useful, very effective. So please visit the Earth Charter website, and you will see many courses. Yes, Phil, thank you, Katerina. Yeah, Phil, let's go back to you. Yes.
All right. Okay, so you just indirectly answered the question, but there's a question from the comments. How can ambassadors of selfless service and humanity and academic diplomats be part of the Earth Charter? Which you already pointed out that you can be part of the Earth Charter in many ways. I joined the Earth Charter through the LSE course, the Leadership, Sustainability and Ethics course. And after that, became a young leader, and I've been working within the Earth Charter since then. And I raised my hand initially because what Katerina said was really interesting for me, because we're part of this network, but sometimes we get to we don't get to see a lot of people. But looking at the people here, I see Greshma. I know Greshma. I don't know her personally, but I know Greshma is working on peace. I see Emma. I know Emma is working on climate. So the action is what speaks. Just being part of it doesn't echo. But when what you do is what speaks volume. And also what Katerina mentioned earlier about highlighting the correlation between the Earth Charter and what people are doing. And this is one of the things I have learned, and my experience within the Earth Charter has taught me. Some months back, I and my fellow Earth Charter young leader, Emma, we hosted a webinar, about localizing the SDGs through the spectrum of the Earth Charter. How can we localize the SDGs through the Earth Charter? And yesterday as well, in the late evening, I got a message, please, can you do one today? I facilitated a session this morning on the Earth Charter, because these organizations, these people, they see the correlation between the Earth Charter and their actions. And that's why, the question you mentioned earlier, the Earth Charter can never get old. It's universal, it's transformative, and everyone can find him or herself within those principles. And it's universal. There's no way you can go, because as we grow, the diversity, the way the world is going, there's always room for ethical values. There's always a room for the Earth Charter to come into play. So that's what I wanted to add.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Phil. You're right. You know, Earth cannot get old. I mean, how does issues of respect of each other, care for the community of life, ecological integrity, social and economic justice, democracy, non-violence, and peace. How can they? That's what we need, you know, in our day-to-day lives and governance. Let me mention that we have many members of the Earth Charter Council and board in attendance. And we also have the chairman of the board, Mr. Katikaya Sarabai. And one of the questions we have from one of the senior members, Dr. Sam Crowell, or Professor Sam Crowell, he says, "Your voices and experience inspire me greatly. How can those of us who are older support you more and elevate your presence in this movement?" So I would need an answer from all of you. So he is asking, we have been so inspired. You know, now, what can we do, we the older ones, what can we do to support you and elevate your presence? Yes, can we go to Yana? Can you speak first? Just 1 minute, then I would take a comment from all four of you. All right.
Thank you. It actually brought a very strong emotion in me to elevate your presence. So how was it said? How beautifully said. I think, yeah, this is really something that I'm also very keen on learning when I'm working with younger people that are 20 years younger than me. And what I think is the most important thing is to encourage them, to tell them, you're good, you're doing well, you're doing fantastic, thank you so much for your work. And being very encouraging, really support them and give them positive feedback. And when you give feedback, you give it in a nice way, kind of teaching and guiding, giving probably questions that are letting them to find their own solutions. If this is a concrete question, how can we actually collaborate? I think it takes more time, but I think just on a general level, just trusting in younger generations, giving them space and supporting them in their actions is the most important thing.
Yeah, oh, thank you so much. Yes, Yana says, encourage them, give positive feedback, give them space. Now, so let me go to Zimbabwe. And Dumisani, how can we give the young people space?
Yeah, I would say I agree 100% with Yana. Encouragement is the world's strongest currency, especially when you're young. You can never have enough encouragement, and encourage young people to take risks. I think let's not encourage young people to be like us or to be like those that came before me. Encourage them to do new things. Someone said earlier that young people must work with the older people because the older people have knowledge. I would like to disagree with that. I think that, Einstein said imagination is more important than knowledge. Encourage people to imagine an alternative world, an alternative reality, different kinds of practices. And if you have an office, give a corner to a young person and encourage them to fail. If you have a school, give a classroom to a young person. If you have a company, give them a room or a car or whatever, but encourage them to take the risk to do things that the middle generation like us has not done and the generations before. The irony is there's two big companies in the world that compete. There's Nike and Adidas. But if they work together, they would help to change the world, because one says impossible is nothing, another says just do it. And I think that's what young people need to hear from the other generations, is impossible is nothing and just do it. And just in closing, I also want to help us to shift this thinking that young people are leaders for today and not leaders for tomorrow. Because I was a young person one day, I'm still young, right? And I don't stop leading, and nor do young people. I think that from an Earth Charter point of view, I would like us to try and play with the idea of Young people are leaders every day. And if you can tell young people that they're leaders every day, encourage them, give them space, and help them to take risks, I think you will have elevated Professor Cowell beyond our wildest imagination.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes. Before I come to Phil, let me just read one of the comments, that speak to what we're doing. Mary Joy Phillip, she says, every single one of your words are inspiring. Conversations like these give us the opportunity to reach out to you, the younger generation, and invite you to be shape shifters and change makers in our context. So you're going to be getting invitations. Thank you so much. So Phil, back to you. How can the older people represented here help you, the younger generation, to take the message of the Earth Charter into every nook and corner?
Yeah, while you pose this question, I had to make a quick search to remember something. So EC Principle 12C, it reads, honor and support the young people of our communities, enable them to fulfill their essential role in creating sustainable societies. It's in the Earth Charter principles, and for me, this is also very important because, just what Dumi was saying, young people are not leaders for tomorrow. Young people have been leading since yesterday, and young people are still leading now. Mm-hmm. So what we as young people need is a platform, an opportunity for our voices to be heard. And thankfully, being part of the Earth Charter, I am here speaking with people who are older than me, people who were there from the onset, people who have passed through these different phases. So I think one of the most important things for we as young people is always the platform, because sometimes we're excluded from the discussions, or we're excluded from decision-making processes owing to the fact that they say we're too young to understand, we're too young to be part of it. But when provided with the platform, as we can see all over the world, the energy of young people, how innovative we are, and what we can bring to the table. So I would just like to end by saying, talent is universal, but opportunity is not. So when we bring that opportunity, that's where we see young people flourish. So I think the platform is one of the most important things. And as Jana said, encouragement, the push to be better and to stand. So I think that's my own contribution.
Yeah, thank you very much, Phil. And Katerina, there's a question here, someone, Francis Nkemdirim Egede, she wants to know how they can be part of the Earth Charter. I can tell her, because the Earth Charter Secretariat has a youth desk. But then we want to hear from you, Katerina. How do you think, just thinking out of the box, how do you think young people can be part of the Earth Charter? How can they take that Earth Charter message and use it to transform their communities, and their cities? Katerina.
Yes, thank you for this question. I'm still resonating so much with the other question as well. So also thank you for all the beautiful answers. I think I couldn't have put it myself better, the trust and choosing the love instead of being afraid of change is something very important. So also when you try to interact with the Earth Charter and use it for your own community, it is really important to trust in yourself and then trust in your abilities. Phil quoted some parts of the Earth Charter. The Charter itself, it's very detailed. So if you go through that and you read it intuitively, I think you will most likely see things that pop to your eyes, like, oh yeah, maybe we need a little bit more of promoting a culture of tolerance or non-violence and peace to encourage mutual understanding, or maybe we need to really strengthen the local community to tap into this care for the environment and to share, to stand up and work with each other. So I think the easiest step, the simplest step is to go online, download the Earth Charter now, read the Earth Charter and just maybe make a note what resonates to me right now. And then I think it's not only about action, but it's the composure of action and reflection. So you do something, you adapt your behavior. Maybe you do start going vegan tomorrow. Maybe you do start taking a 5-minute shower tonight. And then you reflect, hey, did I actually like a 5-minute shower? Or maybe I need 10 minutes so that I'm refreshed and I can go into this world tomorrow and be my fullest self. And then maybe this is not your part, what you want to change right now. But going for yourself there and going step by step, okay, what is for me? What is for my community? Then maybe you're working on a project and you look at the project, you say, okay, we're implementing something right now. Maybe it is food in schools and we're implementing this right now, but is this actually sustainable? How can we create options that are more regenerative for our planet? Maybe it's not about the food. Maybe we realize it's about the platters and the cutlery we use. So there's a lot that comes with it. And obviously I think you can go very broad, but start by just reading the Earth Charter. If you're triggered, if that is not enough, obviously you can always reach out to us as well, to everyone who is here today. You can also take part in the amazing courses, especially if you're a young person. The LSE course is amazing to get a start into the world of sustainability and regeneration. And also, as Akpezi mentioned before, you also have this for business leaders. So if you really wish to transform your business, you don't have to do it by yourself. There is an assessment form where you can really assess and evaluate what are we actually doing? Is this making sense? And how can we do better and create long-lasting impact from ourselves, but for all community of life?
Yes. Thank you, Katerina. Yes, talking about business leaders, we have a number of business leaders in our midst here. And one of them, Michael Braxton, he says in the comment section, he says, envision the potential for empowering and liberating communities of like-minded fellow citizens in your community and of the world. An ethical framework like the Earth Charter is a renewal of the spirit for everyone. Seize the moment. So it means that we all need to seize the moment, So wherever we are, there is an opportunity, to use the message, the values of the Earth Charter to make the situation better for everyone. And that is what the Earth Charter is about. Now, I would like to, before I go to my last exercise, I would like to take any comment. Can we have comment from some of the people on the platform? Can you indicate so that the Secretariat can unmute you? Would you like a message to our young people, or are you a young person and you want to join your voice to what our brilliant panelists have been saying?
Jane just posted a comment.
Oh, Jane.
Victor.
Yes, thank you. Oh, okay. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, Miriam and Akpezi. Just the comment I posted was just on what Katarina was highlighting. Like, where do you start in your environment? It's a good thing just to identify what is the gap. In my country, of course, there are issues of social justice. So for me, that is an urgent need. For Katarina in her country, it may not be, social justice. That may be there. It could be something else, maybe gender equality or whatever. So once you identify the need that is there in your community, that is a very good place to start. And like somebody said before, this Earth Charter actually it resonates with you as a human being, You feel that this is the area that I need to really give to, and you find the answer in the charter. So it speaks to everybody. That was just my comment on what Katarina, because I remember she mentioned that she has not experienced certain things like, going long distances to look for water. These are common in Africa, or, situations that are really not in other parts of the world, but are in your community. And once you identify that, then it gives you a very good start. So I'd like to encourage the young people. Sorry, I have a lot of background noise. Let me just leave it there.
Young people, you have a lot of good noise.
Yes, Mama, please keep quiet. Yeah, so for the young people is just to identify their situation and their circumstances. I was avoiding talking because I have a bit of noise here. Yeah, and you can't do everything that's on the Earth Charter. Pick something that is really relevant to you and run with it. And it is very satisfying to do that and to resolve, to kind of solve the problems that your community has. It is extremely satisfying. And like Akpezi said, of course, there's a desk for the youth where they can go to as well and get more information on this and the training. Thank you.
So it is time to run with it. Pick something in the charter and run with it. Time to seize the moment, time to take action. I'll take one more. Yeah, I will take one more from Victor. Please, 1 minute. And then we are going to do an exercise together. Victor Matthew.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Earth Charter has really been one of the best gifts I had in 2021. It's been transforming for me. And honestly, mindset is really changed. A lot of things happened to me this 2021 as soon as I took the LSC course. I really desire if there will be a way Earth Charter can collaborate with almost all the higher institutions in Nigeria to have this course run by all undergraduate students. I believe it will really be a transforming moment for every one of them, because I could see the impact, not just to me. I'm currently in the northern part of Nigeria, but this course opened me up to a lot of things, and it is really, 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 really rich. So if there's a way Earth Charter can collaborate using some of the students to see how these things will be effective on campus, if they can relate to the lecturers from various campuses, I think it will really be a booster and it will really help Nigeria as a country. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Victor. I think that is work for us to do. You, myself, Phil, who are in Nigeria. So let's get together and see how to get the National University Commission, the National Primary and Secondary School Board, to do something, okay? So let's connect and see what we can do. Okay,
thank you.
Yeah, that's, I have more hands, but I do not have much time. So Kabila, if you are going to promise to speak for just 30 seconds, you come on before we take the exercise together. Kabila.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm Kabila Jonathan Obo from Gulu in Uganda. So my question is, it's in, okay, I'll phrase it out in this way. I'm a student doing Bachelor's of Science in Food and Agribusiness at Gulu University. I've been an Earth Charter young leader since, and Earth Charter has impacted in my life and in my community through what I've been able to do. But I want now to relate Earth Charter with my profession. So I would request for guidance where necessary, how I could relate Earth Charter with food science and technology. Thank you so much.
Wow, I would say you should connect with Katerina. I think she has experience with working with, is it livelihood, Katerina? So if you can connect with her, she's going to give you ideas. And if you connect with the Secretariat, we would also guide you. Yeah, Katerina, do you have a quick word for him? If you can just give another 30-second response to Kabila before I round up. All right, Katerina.
Well, first of all, I'm really happy. If you want to reach out, you can, of course, reach out to me. I think 30 seconds.
Yes.
Make a business plan, make a value business canvas, and then use that to integrate the Earth Charter in it and merge it with your business. And I think this is a very dense and quick, but if you're able to do that properly, you will see the overlaps and you will see what you can do for your business to make it work together with the Earth Charter, or
Yes.
for the Earth Charter, and also, yeah.
Yes, and Kabila, if you go on the website, if you go on the Earth Charter website, you'll find the assessment tool that Katerina talked about earlier on. It would help if you use the questions and you follow it. It would also give you ideas on how to make the connections. Now, let's go to the last question, the last exercise, and everybody will be involved in it. I would like you to close your eyes for 30 seconds. Now, I'm in love with 30 seconds today. Yeah, and consider this question. How would you like to see our world in the near future? How would you like to see our world in the near future? Just think about it and see it. Remember, Michael said, envision. You have to see the future you want before you can walk towards it. If you don't see it, then you will just be, scattered. What future do you see for our world? What future do you see for your community, for your city? Now, you can open your eyes and write down one planetary ethics that can move us closer to the world of your dreams. And you can please also, the viewers can write on the chat, and the panelists, just write it on the sheet of paper before you. One word, one planetary ethics that you think, if we embed this into our action, if we embed this into governance, if we embed this into the sustainable development goals, and so on, these planetary ethics, it will move us closer to the world of our dreams. Can I see your comments, please? And while we are all writing, I would like to take the opportunity. A lot of us are asking, what can we do? What can we do? Well, we have a crowdfunding campaign, for scholarship. The Earth Charter International wants to offer scholarship to as many young people as possible to take courses that would equip them, inspire them, empower them, tool them, to take the Earth Charter everywhere. So please, if you go on the Earth Charter website, be part of the crowdfunding. It's not big money. I mean, you can put in $10, you can put in 20, you can put in $1 million, you can put in $5, you can put in 15, 20, just join it. Let's equip as many young persons as possible. Yes, now, back to my panelists. What is your one word? Oh, the words are already coming from our participants, but let's start from Yana. Share your word. What is your one word, Yana?
Mine is what I started with, interconnection. I think that's the essence, and that's what I've learned from the Earth Charter.
Interconnection. And yes, from Alicia as well, I see care for all, the community of life. I see happiness and prosperity for every creature, loving acceptance, a world where justice for the powerless, wow, comes naturally. Wow. A world where justice for the powerless comes naturally. Yeah, now let's go back. What do you feel?
Yeah, for me as well, what I started with, for me, the most important, respect and care for all life. So for me,
wow, it's respect and care for all lives. Yes, I can also see more here. Having environmental education taught, eco-literacy for all, peace and respect. Khadija says, people accepting each other, and so on. Dora, a peaceful world for everyone. Yes, thank you. Now let's go to Misani Yoni. What's your one word? One planetary ethic.
My one word is love.
Wow, love. Yes, that's a big word. That's an important word. Yes, love. Yes. Thank you. And now we have more listening, more smiles. That's from the executive director of the EdCharter. More listening, more smiles. Now, please, everyone, let's smile. Let's smile. More smile, more interconnectedness, less suffering. Yes, there is so much suffering in our world today. Less suffering. A healthy environment for all. From Amanda, Kabila says a sustainable climate and environment for all. Respect, care, love, joy, peace, and love, Greshma. Thank you. And now, Katerina, what's your one word?
My word is light. To always choose light over the dark. Yeah.
Wow. Light. Light. Let there be light. Thank you, Katerina. Yes, and we've had a good time, but I think I have to bring this meeting to a close. I would like to thank our brilliant young leaders, panelists, Dumisani, Yoni, thank you so much. Yana, thank you so much. Phil, thank you. Katerina, thank you very much. And every one of you, both the older ones, the younger ones, and the children whose voices we heard in Nairobi, they are all important. Thank you very much. And I would just say we have the opportunity